Let's talk about something that's all around us, but that we almost never see. We're looking up into the sky to explore the invisible highways that crisscross the space right above our heads. It's this incredibly complex system of rules and routes designed to keep us all safe. I mean, think about it. When you look up on a clear day, what do you really see? A whole lot of blue, right? It just looks vast, open, and, well, mostly empty. But is it? Oh, not even close. That so-called empty space is actually a jam-packed, meticulously structured world. It's a web of invisible highways, and it's all there for one reason: safety. So, come on, let's take a virtual flight and see how this whole thing works from the ground up. So, to really get a handle on this, we're going to start our flight right on the ground in the most basic, wide-open type of airspace you can find. This is what's known as Class G airspace. You can basically think of it as the default setting for the sky. If nobody has specifically labeled it as something else, then it's Class G. And the key thing to know, air traffic control has zero authority here. It is literally uncontrolled. The absolute best way to picture Class G is to think of it as the country roads of the sky. You know, traffic is really light, the rules are pretty minimal, and it's just wide open space. It usually goes from the ground right up to where the more organized, controlled airspace begins. All right, our virtual plane is climbing. We're leaving those quiet country roads behind, and as we get higher and closer to towns and airports, we're entering the sky's version of busy city streets. And this, my friends, is where we enter what's called controlled airspace. It's just a catch-all term for any area where air traffic control is actively involved, providing services to keep planes safely separated. This is where the real organization kicks in. So the first and most common type we're going to hit is Class E airspace. If Class G was the countryside, you can think of Class E as the sprawling suburbs that connect everything else together. For most of the US, it kicks in at either 700 or 1,200 feet off the ground and just covers a massive area. Now here's where the rules really start to change. As we get closer to a smaller airport that has a control tower, we're going to enter Class D airspace. Remember Class G, where you could just fly right in? Yeah, that's over. To get into Class D, a pilot has to get on the radio and establish two-way communication with the tower before they cross the line. You gotta call them, and they gotta answer back. Okay, things are getting a little more serious. We're now heading for a bigger, busier airport, the kind that might handle regional jets. Welcome to Class C airspace. If Class D was a small town, Class C is the bustling town center. It's more complex, usually has more layers, and yeah, the rules get a little stricter. And now, we're going to the big leagues. We're on approach to one of the busiest airports in the country. Think JFK, Atlanta, O'Hare. This is Class B airspace. It's designed specifically to protect these massive hubs, usually going from the ground all the way up to 10,000 feet. This really is the superhighway of the lower sky, and for decades, pilots have had this perfect, if slightly weird, way to describe its shape: an upside-down wedding cake. The layers get wider the higher up you go, which is a brilliant design for funneling all those arrivals and departures safely. And here is the single biggest difference, the one you really need to get. For Class C and D, you just have to make radio contact. But for Class B, that's a whole different ballgame. You need explicit permission. The controller has to say the magic words, "cleared into the Class Bravo." If you don't hear that phrase, you don't go in. Simple as that. All right, our flight has left that busy airport behind, and now we're climbing way, way up to our cruising altitude. We're leaving all those complex layers near the ground and entering the super orderly, high-speed freeways of the sky. Way up here, starting at 18,000 feet, it's all Class A airspace. And the rule in Class A is simple. Every single plane, no exceptions, is flying under what's called Instrument Flight Rules, or IFR. This is the exclusive interstate system just for the big jets and high-performance planes. You're not going to find any sightseeing tours up here. Every single aircraft is on a pre-filed flight plan, and they are under the direct, positive control of ATC at all times. It is all about speed, efficiency, and total safety. Now, just like the roads we drive on, the sky's highways aren't always open everywhere. There are special zones you have to watch out for. You can think of them as road closures, detours, or even permanent keep-out signs. It's all called special use airspace. The two you absolutely have to know about are prohibited and restricted areas.
A prohibited area is simple. You cannot go there. Period. It's for national security. A restricted area is a little different. It's not totally off limits, but it's got hazardous stuff going on, like military training. You can't just fly through. You have to get permission first.
A perfect and pretty famous example of a prohibited area is P-40. This is the super secure airspace over places like Camp David and the government buildings in Washington, D.C. Flying in there is an absolute no-go. Okay, pop quiz. Pilots have these detailed charts that show them where all these special zones are. But what if I told you there's one kind of hazardous area that doesn't show up on any chart? Any idea what that could be? The answer is a controlled firing area, a CFA. And the reason it isn't on the chart is actually kind of brilliant. In a CFA, the responsibility is totally on the people on the ground. They have spotters, and if they see a plane coming, they stop everything hazardous immediately. Since the pilot never has to change course, there's no need to clutter up the chart with it. So let's just boil this all down. This chart lays out the ladder of requirements perfectly. Down in Class G, you need nothing. No special gear, no call to get in. To get into Class D, you need a two-way radio to make contact. Step up to Class C, you still need that radio contact, but now you also need a transponder so ATC can see you on their radar. And for the top tier, Class B, you need all of that plus that explicit personal clearance to get in. So there you have it. From the quiet country roads of Class G all the way up to the high-altitude interstates of Class A, we've seen this incredible invisible architecture that keeps our skies remarkably safe. It's just a massive, coordinated dance that works flawlessly millions of times a year. But here's the thing. This entire, intricate system was built for airplanes with human pilots at the controls. And that leaves us with a huge question for the future. As our skies start filling up with delivery drones, autonomous air taxis, and all sorts of new aircraft, how are these invisible highways going to have to change? How do we adapt this amazing system to guarantee safety in the even more crowded skies of tomorrow?